Welcome back, everybody, to another video. Today, we got some an interesting vid. We got something about the David case. I don't know if you guys heard about that, but it's pretty crazy. If you haven't, you should go look it up. It's pretty crazy. There's a bunch of stuff on YouTube, but yeah, it's insane. So this is what we're gonna be doing today. Um, It's been a pretty busy week, but we'll come out with some more gaming content soon. But yeah, let's get into it.
This, just a quick note, if you didn't know this, my little companion in the studio, Atlas, he left us this week. I'm so sad to report that our
Wait,
Atlas cam
what happened?
today for this episode is showing his collar and his leash and
Wait,
his water bowl that was always in the studio and a couple of his favorite milk bones. Um, I do
do
have
they
an
mean?
episode telling
Hold on. Do they mean David had this stuff? Am I stupid?
the story of what happened to Atlas this week, but it's very sad. He's 15 and a half, and it was time, and it was very sad.
Oh, that's a dog. Fuck me. Oh, dude, I'm tired. Okay. You know what?
But I
Don't
am
worry about that.
continuing to do the
We're gonna
podcast
edit
by
that out.
myself now. It's very lonely, but I do have some big bombshells in the case involving Celeste Rivas Hernandez and the singer known as David. And I'm just going to say it. What the hell is actually going on with this case? Every time a new piece of this story
Damn.
surfaces, it doesn't
Okay.
clear anything up.
That's what
It just
I
seems to
forgot what
blow the
David
whole
looks like.
thing
I'm not gonna
open
lie.
even wider. The
Look at his.
singer
That's fucking
calls
ugly
himself,
drip, bruh.
David with a four, is really David Anthony Burke. That's his legal name. And by the way, he might have to start using that legal name real soon. And the underage girl
The
that was
hell?
found dead in the trunk
Oh,
of his
hell no.
Tesla, that was his girlfriend, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, according to his friends. And the
What?
more we learn about the investigation, the
The
stranger
fuck?
this entire situation
This
gets.
is crazy. Like, what
Nothing
does
seems
she
to line
like?
up. Everybody
Like, how does he like? You put a dead body inside the back of your Tesla? Like, how did somebody find that out? You know?
is clamming up, and the questions are getting louder than the answers. The bombshell, though, this week was that LAPD sources say investigators now consider David, the singer, a suspect, which might
Oh,
raise the question
he's
what
fucked,
took them
maybe.
so long? Except that 2.5 months after Celeste's decomposing remains were found in David's Tesla, authorities still aren't saying how this
Wait, is that
young
his
runaway
fucking
died.
Tesla? Is that his Tesla? That's insane. Is that his Tesla? That doesn't look like a test. Wait, it might a little bit. But that's insane. You find a dead. That's just messed up.
Or whether anyone else may have had a hand in it.
That is Tesla. What the fuck?
TMZ, as often
What?
happens, was the first in line for that leaked information and says David may not be the only suspect on the investigators' radar. The outlet also reports that David made a quick and mysterious trip to a remote part of Santa Barbara County back in the spring. He apparently set
Hmm.
out in the middle of the night. Nothing weird there, right? This is what TMZ is reporting, and that he returned to LA just a couple hours later. Again,
That's fucking weird. Sorry for pausing it so much. That's weird. I think, like, that he just returns to, I guess it was in LA. In LA after a few hours after a few hours after her death is what that was, maybe? Is that what she meant?
nothing weird there, right? Just a little trip miles and miles away in the middle of the night and back. And if that midnight drive to a remote corner of Santa Barbara County wasn't strange enough, just wait.
Oh God.
There is a lot more underneath that little late night detour, but first, a quick word from our sponsor and a quick thank you to you for supporting this
Okay.
channel. My sponsor, Morgan, will be involved.
Did
Not to
she?
mention that little trip in the middle of the night to Santa Barbara. Here's our conversation. Harvey, what are the sources in the LAPD
What is
suggesting when
that?
it comes to this case right now?
What the fuck?
Well, we're getting more than suggesting. We know what's going on. So there is not an official cause of death yet because the medical examiner has not ruled, nor have the toxicology reports been given to LAPD. But what I can tell you is
This
that
is
the
crazy.
robbery homicide unit and the investigators looking at this case are viewing this as a homicide and viewing David, the singer, as the suspect.
Are they?
Did you?
Uh, uh,
This dude right here just got something tossed at him. What is that a shirt? What is that? Sorry, off topic. What is that? I don't know, but
well,
that's
there's my next
crazy.
question. A suspect,
Oh,
because
it's a
there was
scarf.
some intimation that was too difficult a job for one person to carry out. So are they thinking that there are more involved?
They believe there is more than one person involved in this based on the way and the manner in which the body was discovered, that it was cut up, and and I don't know why, but they believe that it couldn't be the work of just one person.
What
I've been
the
thinking it through, and
fuck?
I
They
want to
said
just put this, past you to
that
see what your reaction is.
they said
Is
that
it possible they're thinking there could be others involved
um
because of the timing of the movement of the
they
Tesla
said
and
that
that comparing to the timing of David's schedule?
You know, I wondered that too.
yeah, I think the timing of David's schedule is insane, you know? And like if there's multiple people involved in it, then you gotta like I don't know, cause like from what excuse me, sorry. From what I hear from this dude is there's multiple people that like I don't know what he said, like cut up the body or I don't know, that's gross. But there's something like that's just there's some if there's multiple people to it, they got a big case on their hands, you know?
The
'Cause like
information we got was it was specific to cutting up the body.
oh
So
god.
that's the information we got. I am actually, the more I learn, the less I understand this case. And what's interesting, and I guess we can get into this and this whole mysterious trip to Santa Barbara, but one of the things I was told is don't necessarily use logic because there are lapses in logic here.
Well, let's go there. This weird trip to Santa Barbara County. Apparently, your sources have unearthed this. Walk me through what it was, when it was, how long it lasted, the whole story behind this trip.
So we are told that in the spring of this year, I can't give you a month, I'm just told the spring, um, David went to a remote area of Santa Barbara County, which is about 100 miles from where he lives in Los Angeles,
What?
a remote area of Santa Barbara County in the middle of the night and spent a couple of hours there. And that is a hugely important part of this case, the way I understand it. And I don't want to be more specific, but based on all the things that are going on, that is
But
a point that seemed to stand out when we got this story. That
that is
this
a good
Santa
point
Barbara
though.
trip is very, very important. Now, what does the Santa Barbara trip mean? Remember, it's spring,
What the
and his
fuck?
body wasn't found until early September. So her body, rather, early September. So we're talking months. So
Wait,
you
her body
could
wasn't found till
theorize.
her body wasn't found for like months? Is what that was? Because that's pretty crazy. And it's weird. Like, there's no reason. Like, if that location where David was like at a couple hours in the middle of the night and it's 100 miles from his house, that's kind of weird, you know? It's like, I don't know. It's just like weird.
That maybe he went to try and bury a body. Maybe he would have gone to
He could have.
bury a weapon.
He could
Um,
have. Yeah, some
but if it was a
evidence,
body,
you know? Or it could be evidence.
why was the body found in the trunk of his car in Los Angeles months and
Hmm.
months later? Would they have gone and picked it up and brought it back? Um, Now, there are some people who are saying, well, wait a minute, maybe he took Celeste there and allegedly, you know, did her in there. The reason I don't think that's the case is we were told David went to Santa Barbara
Hmm.
County. not
What?
they went to Santa Barbara County. And,
Yeah,
you know, it
because
makes me think, how would they know David went? If it was just a cell phone, I don't think what they would say David
that's
went.
a
I
good
think
point.
what we
How
would
did they
get
know?
is,
Wait, did they mean like a witness knew that David went there? How do they know? Like, you wouldn't know. I wouldn't like nobody would know that, you know? Like, if you go, a cop run up to you, asked if you um, like, do you know if David was in this location or this location? Like, you're not gonna know that unless you're involved in something with something involved in that murder. 'Cause that, yeah, that's weird. That's not like something where like her body's just in the back of his Tesla and they couldn't have buried her or went out there. Like they could have like planned it maybe. Well, no, they couldn't have because okay, they had to have done something. There's a reason why they were out there. They could have hid like evidence, like the weapon that she got killed with or something like that. There's no reason there's no way she's like buried her and then took her back out and like put her in the back of his trunk of the Tesla, you know? You see what I'm saying here? Like I don't know what you guys think, but like it I don't know.
his
It's
cell phone
interesting.
pinged in that area. We got the word David. That
Hmm.
makes me think there is video from his Tesla and that
Okay.
they have gotten into the Tesla. We know they have data from the Tesla, and maybe there
Have
is
that
video
damn.
showing him there that they could track it there and they could see him there. And I don't know what it is that he did there, and it may well be that the LAPD knows, but we don't know yet.
Well,
But
and
something big happened in during that trip.
And to me, that would bring in a whole other jurisdiction. You would have the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Department possibly involved in this investigation as well. I have not seen evidence of that. I don't know if you've been hearing musings and musterings that they're involved in some aspect of this, or that the jurisdiction might even change if a killing happened there, or if a body was discovered there. It just opens up a whole can of worms.
Well, you and I think alike because I spoke to
Huh.
people at the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's about 2 hours ago
Huh.
and really pushed to see what I could get. And all I would get back is that the LAPD is the lead investigator in the case, call them. So I couldn't get anything out of Santa Barbara. The way it
Sant
typically works is that
This is weird.
the area where the jurisdiction is that the LAPD would be searching would accompany the LAPD, and that's protocol with a lot of these cases. Wouldn't surprise me at all if Santa Barbara County Sheriffs did that. Now, I also asked if Santa Barbara County Sheriff was doing some kind of a parallel investigation, since Santa Barbara seems to be really important here, and I was just told I was referred back to LAPD, and they wouldn't say anything.
I wonder if they would have said, we're not involved at all. Were they not involved at all? I mean, who knows, right? Would they?
Yeah,
The fact that they're
I,
saying,
I tried that too, Ashley.
right. I knew you would. I want to go back to I want to go back to something that Steve Fisher, who's a private investigator who's been working this case, um, discovered inside the rental home
Oh God.
after David and his whomever he was living with there moved out. He said there were, he wouldn't be specific, but he said there were things that were purchased and left inside that home still in the packaging that looked like they could be used to dismember a body but were not.
What?
And what makes me curious is,
Fuck.
were the purchases
That's weird,
traced? And if
you
it
know?
weren't David who made those purchases,
Like
whomever did make the purchases of this equipment, could they be somehow involved as the
what do they mean
other
by
parties that
equipment,
might
you
have
know? Is it like a
given help if
weapon,
David in
knife,
fact did something
something
to
like
Celeste?
that?
I have
Maybe?
no
I don't
idea.
know.
What equipment are we talking about?
You know, he
Okay.
wouldn't be specific, but it almost
Why?
sounded like it was
Why?
equipment. I know, maybe that was a second thought. They purchased, it sounded as though he was
Like, yeah,
describing
why isn't
buzz
he
saws or
like
large machinery and equipment that could, his
what?
words, could be used to cut up a body, but were not. Were still left in the packaging
Oh, this
and were
is
left there. And then I
insane.
was also told by Steve Fisher, the PI, that the LAPD detectives that raided that home photographed it, documented it, did not take it because it wasn't used, it wasn't opened. It was just a fascinating development.
That's weird to me.
I know.
Because if the LAPD sees something that might remotely be part of
There
a
is
crime,
something
it would seem to me that would be seized as
missing and
evidence.
wrong in this
And,
situation
you
right
can
now.
always put
This
something
was
in a
1 day
package,
ago.
but
There
if
is something
the package was,
physically
first of all, are they going to unwrap things at the crime scene? I don't think so. I think what they do is they take it
wrong.
to the station and they handle it very gingerly. So
I don't know. This
there's
is
parts of that
crazy,
that doesn't
dude.
make sense to me.
I'm with you. I was sort of flummoxed by that report. But at the same time, the more I hear that there might be someone else involved and that the dismemberment of the body is the clue that someone else was involved and trying to figure out. 'Cause listen, you and I have both covered many cases in which one person is more than capable of chopping
I'll be
up a
back.
body and sending it into multiple locations. We're covering.
Okay, sorry.
Covering
All
the
right,
Anna
we're
Walsh
good.
and Brian Walsh story right now in Massachusetts.
Well,
And that is,
look at Jeffrey Dahmer.
look at Jeffrey Dahmer and Robert Durst down in Galveston. Chopped up his neighbor, admitted it. Morris Black tossed him into Galveston Bay.
I agree with
Oh
you,
my
and
God.
I'm
All right.
confused. Like I said, the more I learn, the less I know. And God, I sound like an Eagles song. Um, but it's true. And I don't understand how the dismemberment is what makes LAPD believe that there's more than one person involved. But that is precisely what we were told.
So the other strategy
wow,
I'm
this
trying
is
to think through as I try to put my LAPD hat on and get inside their investigative techniques, is it possible that they are trying to smoke David out, or at least get him nervous enough by releasing this little nugget that he is in fact a suspect, and see what he does with that information and how he behaves?
I really
ooh,
didn't think of that.
that's really good. That's really good. I never thought about like thinking of like something like that to a sense of like making him like super nervous enough to like spill some like a certain amount, like spill something, some sort of like something he knows, you know? And where is I don't even know. This is crazy.
Um, that's generally not. It's interesting. I really hadn't thought of that. Um, maybe. I mean, that's kind of an interesting theory because I wondered too. Because, look, you've been working this case too. I have rarely seen the LAPD so tight lipped on any case, and I'm talking all over the place. And we now have sources that up to this point had not spoken. And
Hmm. Hmm.
I can't say anymore. But it's an interesting theory.
Wow, okay.
I see big things are coming, and I'm going to stay tuned to your website and
This
your
is
reports on that one.
insane.
I can sense something's going on in there that you know and can't talk about, which is, you always know stuff before everybody else. So the other
Well, who's
question
this dude?
I
Does
have
he
is,
like work? He's
do they
probably
know
like
where
a
he
high
is?
end
At this
like
point, does anyone
cop or
actually
something, you
know
know?
where David
He
is?
might.
Well, I don't know if the
Oh
LAPD
yeah, where is
knows.
David?
He
Where's
was in LA.
Okay.
If he is
He was in
still
LA.
here, he is virtually in hiding because there are a lot
Mm.
of paparazzi agencies in LA. And, that photograph is worth a lot to these agencies. So if he's spotted out, um, they're probably going to get a picture of him. And we haven't seen any of these agencies say, hey, we got a picture of David. So if he's here, he is underground. And
He's
I
under.
think there's a good
Wow.
chance that maybe he went somewhere else where it's not going to be as, where there aren't going to be these, paparazzi agencies around.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen him, and I don't know where he is. I know he was in L.A., but that was weeks ago.
That's insane.
So he made a stop in LA, which is fascinating because most of the reports had him likely down in Texas,
I
where his
think
family
you
is
would
from. Where
think.
He may be. I know he went to L.A. After the tour ended.
The
What
tour,
he
he
did
had a-
after that, I
wow.
don't know.
and nothing to suggest that the folks in Houston, that the authorities in Houston are working in concert with the authorities in the LAPD.
So if David was like in LA, I'm not saying he is, but if he was, he's like hiding underground, is what this guy said. That's insane. You gotta hide like. That's crazy.
Just to have
Like,
eyes
you
on
have
him
to
and see
hide,
what he's
like,
up to. I'm
freaking
always watching to see if
I don't
somebody's
know.
making plans for a trip to Ecuador or some South American country that doesn't have an extradition treaty
That's
with us.
freaking
I'm always
crazy,
watching to see what someone's doing when the heat is on.
I would be stunned if LAPD has not been in touch with Houston. I'd be stunned.
Really?
So
Okay.
I'm going to ask for your best guess because you live and breathe the business of what happens to people upon arrest and impending arrest. What do you think is about to happen? Do you think he's about to be in cuffs?
Well,
That's tough
we
to
were
say.
told not in the near future. I don't know what near future means. One of the problems is the medical examiner has not determined cause of death, and they have not given toxicology to LAPD. Even if say the medical examiner comes back and says undetermined, the LAPD could still move forward, and my sense from our reporting is they would. But I'm told, and I don't know what the specifics here are, is that the relationship between the LA County Medical Examiner and the LAPD has not been great over the last few years. And even though they could fast track, if they wanted to, the medical examiner could fast track some of these, the tests that they're doing, my sense is they have not done so because, it can take 3 months easy for something like this, but they could also fast track it. And based on our conversations, that does not seem to have been done. And it may speak to the relationship that LAPD has with the medical examiner. I don't know what's behind it, but that's what I was told.
Well, my God. I mean, if let's just say the tox comes back with a lethal amount of XYZ, that
This is
doesn't tell
crazy.
you
Like,
who
what?
put the XYZ into that
I don't
person.
even
And it's
know.
really
Like,
hard to
how does
suggest what it means.
a
Well, let me tell you,
a
Ashley,
rapper
if that
like
happens
this get tangled up in
and
all of
the
this
medical
shit?
examiner comes
You
back
know?
and says that it was a
Like,
likely drug overdose, I think that would potentially blow up the homicide investigation because you don't know. I mean, remember, you can go way back in LA to John Belushi's death, where Kathy
oh
Evelyn
gosh,
Smith was
I don't even know what
was
like
prosecuted for
how I don't
manslaughter,
even know.
which is a homicide, for what she did at the Chateau Marmont with John Belushi and heroin. But then you have to pin it on a particular person who gave them the drug, and then it's not as simple as saying, "Oh, he gave her X." If she died by some means of foul play, that's a more direct line in terms of a homicide than it is a drug overdose. So, and again, I don't know. I mean, it's weird to me that the LAPD is looking at this as a drug overdose. That would
I
be weird to me, but
Yeah.
it could be. It
it
could
could
be.
be
I don't
it
know.
could be many
Well,
things,
the-
you
I
know?
know,
It
but I
could
will
be
tell you
it could be
this.
like
They're not looking
there
at
it
this
could be
as
many
an
things that
accidental
caused
death.
that
They
death,
are
you know?
absolutely looking at this as a homicide, and there's a difference.
Oh,
That is fascinating. And I think about Casey Anthony's little daughter, who was so far decomposed, they never really could determine, other
like
than a piece of tape over the face and mouth
I
that
don't even
ended up there, if that's really how she died.
Well,
And finding that is key.
And I'll tell you, when this all started,
oh,
when her
this
body
is
was found, it was so badly decomposed and cut up that
what?
they didn't know if it was a man or a woman. And what
Oh
happened
my
was
God.
that
Did they
we
cut
got a
it up
tip
in like
that this girl was
piece
missing.
like
Her name was Celeste, and there was a
you know like
poster that said, "Have you seen this girl?" We called the mother and asked the mother And she told us, because the LAPD, all they said was she had a tattoo on her on her index finger. We called the mother and we talked to the
This is
mother, and she
insane.
said that, yeah, my daughter had a tattoo and it was red. I called the lead homicide investigator as soon as we got off the phone with her, and I gave the lead homicide investigator the information. I said, look, we just talked to this woman who not only said that her daughter had the tattoo, but it
That's
was red.
it
And
was red.
then 2
Wait,
days later, they said not only that it was a woman, but it was Celeste.
They made the
So
connection.
it was that badly decomposed
oh
that
my
they couldn't even
God.
tell if it was a man or a woman. So I don't know, maybe
That's
the medical
insane
examiner is having
that it was
trouble
that
right now too.
badly
I can imagine.
decomposed.
And
Like,
so
you
again,
can't even
there are a
tell what
lot
gender
of
the
unanswered
person
questions
is.
here.
That's
Harvey, I know you're
insane.
going to have the answers before I do, so I am going to call you again. Thank you for this. I appreciate it.
I'm always happy to be on your show, Ashley.
So that's where we'll leave it for now. But this case is
Wow.
moving fast, and the details are
It
only
is
getting
moving
stranger.
fast. This case is insane. We're gonna have to react to more vids on this case. Uh, but this was insane, like freaking crazy. Well, I think, okay, that was actually a fire vid. I'm not gonna lie. That was a fire video. Like, it was actually pretty good. Dude, that's insane. Like, when you like decompose a body so bad that you can't tell what gender the person is, that's insane. I don't even know what to say to that. But we're gonna end it off there. And thank you everybody for watching. And hit that like and subscribe button. And we'll see you in the next one.